A Baltimore County judge denied bail yesterday for a man charged in the fatal shooting this month of a store owner outside Security Square Mall. Brian Keith Rose, 21, of Baltimore, is charged with first-degree murder in the January 5th death of Warren T. Flemings, 31, the owner of a singular wireless store at the Woodlawn Mall. Flemings was killed in what police say appeared to have been an attempted carjacking. Rose was being held at Baltimore County Detention Center. Rose was arrested Wednesday at the home of a friend in Northwest Baltimore. Yo, what it is, people, we is back. Another day on Keep It G News. And then we're in Baltimore City. Got a story for y'all today, man. Story for y'all. Wild story. Very interesting. But in order for me to explain this story, I got to take y'all to North and Longwood. Now, a lot of people know about North and Longwood in the city. North and Longwood has a history of rappers, you know, from OD Stacks.
He was steady. Catch him at the red light, do him dirty, all in traffic. I just bought a new Glock and I cannot wait to blast it. They say he a blood, I slide down on him like what's crack.
To OD Twan.
Be with demons and them killers, them shooters relentless. Nigga, that's real talk. You promise for with that bag, got me limping. Nigga, that's bag walk. Don't do too much talking. Quiet, stay silent. We like the cash talk. I'm lost, don't know where I'm going. 30 under my shirt, but it's showing. Rocks at the jail, I've been throwing.
Then you got the Roddy Rags.
Working with police, not just trying to do it sweet. I ain't do it for the fame, only way for me to eat. I done put fat in the game. I got tricks under my sleeve, and I've been ball away out of their range. We never the same. I'm out of their league.
OTR Chad.
I need love, I'm a D-boy. You know what we on, and I eat the beef on me. I put some cheese on. I'm hiding about 3 stores. I'm living 3 stores. I'm living proof for you. You gotta keep going.
Feel me? That's what most people know North and Longwood for, you know. And they got some guys, man, North and Longwood, that took some losses over the year, you know, from my brother Bucky B. Want to say rest in peace to him. Rest in peace to Ripple. You know, rest in peace Dirty. A lot of good guys, yo, lost their life down there. A lot of guys lost their freedom to the penitentiary. You know, free my man White Boy Daryl. But in this situation, we talking about Sticky. Now, a lot of people don't remember Sticky, apparently, you know, because I was trying to get pictures of him. You feel me? And a lot of people didn't know he was, you know. He exited South out the equation relatively early, you know. We talking about 2005, 2006. And I'm going to detail some of the things that happened with Sticky, you know, because Sticky case was monumental for a lot of reasons. You know, because around this time, in the early 2000s, they were still getting their technology together. And the big part of technology back then was fingerprint technology, you know, fingerprint evidence. You know, it was a debate about it, you know. Is it good evidence? You know, can this be used in court? Should this be admissible? Or is it flawed? And that's why Brian Rose, a.k.a. Sticky case, was so important back then, because this whole case hinged on fingerprints. But before I get too far into it, I gotta give y'all a little bit of background of how Sticky got in this situation. A college student parked his car one day. Some days later, the student could not find his silver Dodge Intrepid and reported it stolen. The Intrepid was listed on a hot sheet of stolen cars sought by Regional Auto Theft, RAT, police detectives. On Tuesday, January 5th, 2006, at approximately 10 a.m., 2 RAT detectives spied the Intrepid. They attempted to stop the Intrepid. A chase ensued. The Intrepid got away. The driver and passenger in the Intrepid cannot be identified except as black males. At approximately 10:30 a.m. the same day, the Intrepid was seen in a Security Square Mall parking lot next to the victim's Mercedes. A struggle ensued. The victim was shot by a black man who got into the Intrepid, which sped away. No one can identify the driver or the passenger except as black males. The abandoned Intrepid was eventually located at Owens Mills Metro. At first, no latent fingerprints were identified by the crime lab. Homicide detectives suggested names of suspects to the crime lab. The known prints of the suspects were compared to latent prints recovered. Eventually, a couple latent prints on the cars were identified as those of the defendant. The identification by one crime lab technician was provided to a second crime lab technician to verify. She agreed with identification of her co-worker. These opinions that the latent prints on the car which matched defendant's prints appeared to be the heart of the state's case. Now, Sticky got itself in a wild situation, y'all. Ended up in it by itself because the person that was supposed to be his Cody at the time, which they said was his nephew, He ended up getting murdered, never got arrested. So Sticky was the only one held liable for this situation. Now, I didn't know Sticky on the streets. I met Sticky behind bars. We was on 3D together. This was in 2006. You know, and who introduced me to him was my brother Bucky B. You know, he was telling me, well, I told him where I was at. He like, yo, my man Sticky down there. Come to find out, Sticky is on the same tier. So we built the relationship that way. You understand? That's another thing about North and Longwood for the people that don't know. Dummy is a North and Longwood term. That's where it came from. That's why you see guys like Stacks and Twan had OD, which was original dummies, you know, because that's where it came from. Now, that's a debate over who started. You feel me? You listen to my brother Bucky B at the time, he would say he started it. You know, him and this man Ghetto was the original dummies. It was a few of them. But what makes me talk about Sticky, as I say, he got himself in this situation. And y'all hear how it happened. Stolen car, takes the police on the chase. And from what I understand, Sticky was good at taking the police on the chase. Got away from him twice, you know. But in the process of him getting away from him, he ended up down Security Mall. Now, Security Mall is out Woodlawn, Baltimore County, for people that don't know. And as Sticky is riding through the parking lot, more than likely trying to either evade police or find another car that he can hop in, he runs across Warren T. Flemings. And I want to send my condolences to Warren T. Flemings' family. I know that was a tragic situation for them, probably still is. You know, sometimes death is everlasting. You know, people who have a hard time coping. But he runs across him and tries to carjack him. Now, Warren T. Flemings put up a fight. And for everything I understand, this was a mistake. Now, of course, the state don't care about it was a mistake that this gun went off and Warren T. Flemings ended up murdered. But that's what I'm here to tell y'all, you know, from inside sources. It was a mistake. So, Warren T. Flemings ends up shot. Now, Sticky, at this point, there's no way he can steal the car. You just murdered this man in Security parking lot, allegedly. It's on camera. Everybody's seen it, you know. But they never seen his face, you know. You know, sometimes when you're dealing with these type of situations, things happen relatively fast. You know, people can even forget. So, make a long story short, he gets back into the Intrepid, goes out Baltimore County, leaves the police again. Hops on the subway, this is what they saying he did, shoots back in the city. Now, when the police get to the crime scenes, both of them, you know, because there's two scenes at this point. You got one on Owens Mills, and you got one at Security Square Mall, which is probably like 20 minutes away. They end up dusting this car, both these cars, for fingerprint evidence. Now, they found partial prints on both vehicles. Ran it through the database, came back matched as Brian Rose, a.k.a. Sticky. Now, Sticky been in trouble majority of his life, so whenever you got them situations, it's not hard. Any type of DNA or any type of fingerprint evidence that come up on any crime, you know, they know exactly who to go to. So now Sticky is locked up. Now, Sticky got locked up in January. I came in June of 2006. We ended up on the same tier. So while in there, I told you my brother introduced me to him. As I'm talking to him on the phone, he said, his man up there. His man Sticky, his little man, you know. So I hollered at him like, yo, you know my people's, yo. Da-da-da-da-da. You know how it is in the joint. So we rapping, we rocking. I'm fucking with Sticky, you know. But one of the things that I noticed about Sticky was, at this time, like I said, this was 6 months later that I came after him. So he was under the interpretation that he was done, he was going to prison. They was trying to give him the death penalty, y'all. That's one of the things. I think at the time he was the only person on the tier actually facing the death penalty. And it was written and signed on by the governor like this was a real thing. It wasn't up for debate, you know. So Sticky got real loose about explaining his case. You know, he would tell you if you wanted to know, you know. And plus, for the most part, people knew about it. You know, that's the thing about when you in the joint. People watch the news. So when you come in there, you know what it is. But it was being portrayed, at least for Sticky's situation, in his case, that this fingerprint evidence was absolute. He was done. There was no way getting around it. You know, his fate was signed, sealed, and delivered. And then this federal grand jury indicted a 23-year-old man yesterday in the January 2006 fatal shooting of a Security Mall merchant, a rare single murder case for federal prosecutors who took over after a state judge excluded fingerprint evidence. That evidence, state prosecutors have said, ties Brian Keith Rose of Baltimore to the death of Warren T. Fleming, 31, owner of a singular wireless store at the Baltimore County Mall. Rose was arrested 13 days after the shooting, which police said occurred during a carjacking in the mall parking lot. Rose was indicted on 2 counts of attempted carjacking, resulting in death, and discharging a firearm during a crime of violence. He could get life without parole if convicted. Prosecutors said the decision on whether to seek the death penalty will be made in coming months by the U.S. Attorney General. Maryland U.S. Attorney Rod J. Rosenstein said that because of the expensive murder trials, such cases are rarely pursued at federal levels. His office was swayed by Baltimore County State's Attorney Scott D. Schillenberger's request for assistance. State prosecutors said they linked Rose to the January 5th shooting through partial fingerprints lifted from the victim's Mercedes and the stolen Dodge Intrepid that they said the shooter used to drive away from the parking lot. Baltimore County Circuit Judge Susan M. Soda ruled that fingerprint evidence, which has been used in courtrooms across the country for nearly 100 years, was not reliable enough for a capital murder case. In her ruling, the judge characterized fingerprint evidence as subjective, untested, unverifiable identification that purports to be infallible. Rosenstein and Schillenberger announced the indictment at a joint news conference. Rosenstein said he cannot speak about the specifics of the case. Schillenberger said reliable evidence would have been excluded if the trial had remained with the state. We were in a situation where evidence was being excluded that we felt Fleming family had the right to make sure it got presented, Schillenberger said. The only place is in federal court. Rose's former defense attorneys were angered by a federal prosecutor's decision to pursue the case. Paul DeWolf, now head of the Montgomery County Public Defender's Office, said the federal involvement undermines the judge's decision. We hope the federal authorities will respect decisions made by a state court. DeWolf said, we hope prosecutors in state court will not bring it upon themselves to appeal a federal court every time they are unhappy with judges' rulings. It shows a lack of respect for the judiciary and independence of judiciary. It puts a chilling effect on judges making rulings on one side or the other. Patrick Kent, head of the State Public Defender's Forensic Unit, who is Rose's attorney, said the federal indictment is a slap in the face of every state court judge ruling based on law. Rosenstein defended the process. He later appealed to the Maryland legislature to review the law and consider allowing state prosecutors the right to appeal evidentiary rulings as federal prosecutors can. Judges make mistakes. Judges sometimes disagree, Rosenstein said, and it's very important in the judiciary system that there be consistency between judges and that the evidence that is admissible in one court be admissible in another. So now, at this point, I'm out of Towson. But I'm going to get back to Towson in this next clip I'm going to play. I'm out of the jail. I already got my time. But I hear about they threw out the fingerprint evidence. I say, oh, shit. Shorty ready to be alright. You know, they ready to throw the case out because that's all they had. There was nobody that can identify Sticky as the driver. Because like I say, his co-defendant, which was his nephew, was dead and gone. You know, rest in peace to him. And there was no witnesses, you know. Like I say, sometimes things happen fast, you know. It might be a blur, you know. They can just give you the car and the description, but they couldn't actually see his face. But this fingerprint evidence at the time pinpointed him there. But Judge Susan threw it out. Ruined the state's whole case. But then the feds come knocking, you know. And it was crazy, yo, at that time, you know, if people that been out of jail their whole life or even just been in there enough times to know what's going on, y'all know that judges don't normally overrule each other, yo. So when the feds picked up his case, that was like, wow, yo, they playing dirty. They is not trying to let this man go. In all actuality, the case was done. But some of the evidence that the feds had was evidence that the state didn't have because, like I told y'all, me and Sticky was talking a lot, you know, and he had other people he was in there dealing with. And one of the things I noticed, and I told y'all that my mother told me to never talk about your case. Well, Sticky talked about his case a hell of a lot in there, man. You know, it was like it was an open book because like I told y'all, he thought he was done. But this is the result of talking about your case while you in jail and you not in prison yet and you don't have time. You know, you just sitting waiting that there's informants in there. And them informants is quick to try to come home off. 3 jailhouse informants apparently had second thoughts Wednesday about helping prosecutors implicate a 22-year-old man in a homicide at Security Square Mall in Woodlawn last year. Instead of helping prosecutors by telling them what they overheard in jail, they discredited themselves as potential witnesses during a motions hearing in Baltimore County Circuit Court. The first informant, COUNTY.AFTER, denied everything, even that he knew the accused. The second informant, Stephen Murray, called himself a liar. And the third informant, Ricardo Garcia, said he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol when he obtained his information. Murray made such a dramatic showing on the stand, he either called himself a liar or denied his initial statement to police more than 25 times. I don't know nothing about his charges. I don't recall nothing. I don't know. That's all I got to say. I wish y'all leave me alone. Everything I told you was a lie. He told me nothing. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty against Brian Rose, 22, of Baltimore, who is accused of first-degree murder and attempted armed carjacking in the January 2006 killing of Warren Fleming, 31, outside Security Square Mall. In a passionate plea to attorneys from both sides, one of the informants told the court that he feared for his life because of his testimony, and he didn't want to come to court. Your world and my world are different, Garcia told public defender Jennifer Ace. I'm in prison. You get to go home and have police protect you. Police in my world don't give a F about anything. Any given day, this can come back to bite you. Despite Wednesday's testimony, Assistant State's Attorney Jason League said he understood the situation the men were in while incarcerated at state prison facilities. The whole code of stop snitching is especially prevalent within the prison system, he said. Each man initially told police Rose made incriminating statements to them while at the Baltimore County Jail. Rose's attorney objected to the statements being introduced into evidence because they argued the criminals were essentially police agents. When they were helping the police, Judge Susan Soda ruled Wednesday that two of the informants' initial statements to police could be admitted into evidence. There's a hearing scheduled for next Thursday on the third man. So it was 3 witnesses or informants that was in Towson at the time. You know, probably way more than that, but it was 3 guys that was trying to basically get their time reduced off of Sticky. Now I'm gonna deal with 2, because I know 2 of them personally. Guy by the name of COUNTY.AFTER and Ricardo Garcia. Now I'm gonna deal with Keon first. From everything I understand, Keon was getting a lot of money on the streets. I'm sure a lot of people know. Keon got arrested from a shooting out Owens Mills. 2 people end up murdered. It was like 6 of the guys. It was like 6 of them guys on the case. It was crazy. I'm like, why the fuck is there so many of y'all on one case? I never seen nothing like that. You know, I think it was something like an armed robbery, home invasion. But to make a long story short, that's what Keon was locked up for. I think he ended up copping out the 30 years, you know, because he was informant and he was trying to tell on Sticky. Now, I warned Sticky about Keon, you know, and I ain't really know how to do it, you know, because I ain't wanted to be a situation where I'm telling him like, yo, Keon ain't right, and then he go back and tell Keon, you feel me? But I definitely did tell him after a while, but by then I'm sure it was too late, you know, they was close, and plus Keon was playing Sticky real close at the time, you know, because like I say, he was getting money on the street, so even though he was a rat, he had means of getting things inside and out. Allegedly, he had some money. He's had a drink, you know. Sticky was facing the death penalty, so you know he wanted to be around drugs. You know, that's just how it is. That's how it goes in prison. Now, Garcia, Ricardo Garcia, I don't know how he got the information. I think I'm sure Sticky ain't tell him nothing. Ricardo Garcia was one of them guys that was lying about his charges, you know. I think he was in there for some type of assault, but he was telling people robbery, and I found this out later. But with Ricardo Garcia, me and him end up going to prison together. You know, I caught my time first, you know. At the time, I'm reading these guys' name, you know, that's supposed to testify on Sticky. I'm reading their name in the paper. And this was, y'all, before they started protecting witnesses. It was a time back in the early 2000s and beyond where if you told, you was on paperwork. You was on paperwork, you was in newspapers, they might even say your name on the news. Straight up. Now it's protected, especially in Maryland, in Baltimore. I forgot what case it was, but I remember when it happened. Now it's like they're not going to release witnesses until like 24 hours until your trial. But it was a time where you knew all the people that was telling on them. So, I'm up JPRU at the time. I'm reading the paper. I see Garcia's name. Next thing you know, voila. Garcia pops up in JPRU. Damn, I'm like, oh shit. And this is when my man, and I think he watched my channel, he can vouch for you if you see this video, my man Belly, he told me about it because he was there at the time, like, yeah, you know them boys telling on Sticky. Make a long story short, now Garcia is in JPRU with me. Y'all know I gotta say something. You feel me? Yo, Garcia, what it is? I catches up to him over there by the showers in JPRU. JPRU not even there no more. I forgot what they call it now. But I'm like, yo, what's up? Yo, people saying you told on Sticky. Oh, no, I ain't do that. Da. He lying. So I'm like, y'all seen the papers, bro. I seen the papers. No, he's giving a whole bunch of back and forth. Now, I ain't gonna put my hands on him. Like I say, Sticky was my man, but we wasn't D1s. But I just wanted to make him aware that, yo, I know what you got going on, shorty. I know you ain't right now. Maybe 2 months later, because Garcia didn't last long at JPRU at all. Because Garcia wanted to try to hang with the damn eyeballs, you know. So, months later, they find out that he was a rat. Garcia gets locked in the side. Now, once these guys went to court, and I'm sure this was probably after my whole ordeal with Garcia, or at least I think it may have been, but they end up recanting their statements. They recanted their statements. But at this time, the judge still allowed certain statements to go through. And that's why this story is so important, because this is one of them stories where you gotta know once you go to jail. And my mother told me this early, man. Salute to her, yo. She might have saved my life, because I didn't know that. Like I say, we was all young at that time. I think Sticky might have been 22. I think I was 19. You see what I'm saying? So, even though I thought I knew everything, you know, I didn't. So, I didn't know that people would really come home off you. I even had a situation where a guy tried to come home off me. Twice tried to get information out of me. Think he had a microphone in his sock. I think I talked about that before. And I did not go deep into it on another video. But I learned that in 05. You know, because this was 06. I got locked up for the same charge twice. So in 05, when the guy tried to come home off me, I was already on it then. So I'm not telling nobody my case. But Sticky was telling everybody his case. And it was messed up, yo. And the only reason he was doing it, in my opinion, I think because he thought he was done. You know? That's the energy they was giving him at the time. Like, yo, you not beating this case. He was over Tulsa for like 4 years fighting it. And man, this not Baltimore City Jail. That wasn't typical back then. You know, Towson probably get you out of there on a murder less than 2 years. Stick was there from 2006 all the way to 2009. So what? 3 years fighting that case. And the state threw it out because they couldn't use the evidence. And if Sticky would have stayed quiet and not gave people too much information, Sticky probably would have came home, man. But instead, Sticky ended up getting 40 years by the federal government. And it was sad and it was messed up. Now, it's sad on the level of me being a friend of him, you feel me? But I'm sure the victim's family and everybody else, they would probably look at it another way. You understand? But I'm giving y'all this video on the angle of, yo, this was my man, yo. You feel me? And I watched how it all played out for him, yo. And at the time, I was thinking like, yo, Sticky, yo, why are you telling people your case? Now, we wasn't super close for me to come at him like that, but I definitely told him about Keon. He ain't right, yo. You know, I ain't gonna lie, he playing you kind of close. You feel me? But he wasn't trying to hear it. You know, he probably thought you know what I mean? We in jail, yo, everybody, it could have just been a means of survival for him. Because like I say, Shorty was catching. But he ended up catching Sticky down bad, because even though all three of them tried to take back their statements, they already made them. The damage was done. The judge let them use them. Now Sticky, instead of getting the death penalty, he got 40 years with the feds, which is better than death, you know. He will hopefully end up coming home one day. But Shorty was a real dude, yo. He actually put up weight in there. I remember he was fighting a guy there. That was crazy. Like, I got stories for days, yo. If y'all want stories, especially from Baltimore, I can give y'all Baltimore stories all day long. You know what I mean? But let me know how y'all feel about us in the comments. This is Keep It G News.
Nigga can't do what I do, y'all niggas can't copy me. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep the shit G. Let's keep shit G. Let's keep shit G.